Hello, I'm Scott Turner, Professor of Biology at the State University of New York in Syracuse. I was meant to be here in person, but a bureaucratic problem back home has left me without a passport during the time I would otherwise be here, so Charles and Philippe have kindly allowed me to offer a few comments by video. My contribution to this volume was Chapter 11, titled Homeostasis and the Forgotten Vitalist Roots of Adaptation. As you might gather from the title, I'm a physiologist by training, but I'm also quite interested in what physiology can contribute to our understanding of evolution. Vitalism is one of those disreputable ideas that scientists in good standing are not supposed to entertain. To borrow from the lexicon of political correctness here in the United States, vitalism is the V word, something we do not utter in polite company. Yet, as the editors and other contributors to this volume have shown admirably, that attitude depends upon a caricature. The vitalism of the V word is vital essences and spirits animating otherwise inanimate matter. That form of vitalism has been dead and gone since the 18th century. Vitalism did not go away, though. Through the 19th century, the old discredited essentialist vitalism was gradually supplanted by a so-called scientific vitalism, which was built around the comparatively innocuous idea that life is a qualitatively unique phenomenon, with distinctive traits that set it apart categorically from the non-living world. The task of the biologist, then, is to seek the underpinnings of life's unique nature. That all changed in the revolutionary developments of the early 20th century, which was marked by the abrupt and sometimes violent repudiation of the old order. Biology was no exception to these tectonic metaphysical shifts, renouncing the soft vitalism of the 19th century to become a real science, like chemistry and physics, radically materialist and mechanist in outlook, and with little patience for the vitalist ideas of the past. Impatience was certainly justified for the metaphysical vitalism of old, but by the 20th century that had been a straw man for decades. Impatience was less justifiable for the relatively modern form of scientific vitalism, which in fact had motivated most of the great advances of 19th century biology. Try as we might to have acted on our physics envy, we've never quite been able to shake the core ideas that are the bequest of 19th century vitalism. It's small wonder, then, that Dorian Sagan has accused all biologists of being closet vitalists. He has a point. We might deny it vehemently, but we secretly know that the core assertion of vitalism, the notion that life is something qualitatively unique, permeates our every thought. In my contribution, I take a somewhat contrarian look at the legacy of this man, Claude Bernard. Our French colleagues know Bernard well, for he is rightly considered one of the giants of 19th century biology, every bit as transformative a figure as his British contemporary Charles Darwin was. Yet in the English-speaking world, where he's known at all, his intellectual legacy has largely been misunderstood. Today, Claude Bernard is celebrated as the father of experimental medicine and as a great experimental physiologist. Both are richly deserved accolades. He is also often portrayed as the one who vanquished vitalism once and for all, and that misreads him badly, I think. If Bernard killed vitalism, he beat to death a horse that had been dead for decades, namely metaphysical vitalism. In fact, Bernard's work was a near-perfect distillation of 19th century scientific vitalist thought, which sought to build the scientific underpinnings of life's unique nature. Parse Bernard's aphorism carefully. Homeostasis is the prerequisite, not the outcome of successful life. In this sense, Bernard did not vanquish vitalism, he vindicated it. The history of biology is rich in irony. Just imagine how Darwin's thinking might have been different had he known that Gregor Mendel had cracked the vexing problem of heredity. A lesser-known irony is how Bernard's legacy relates to his contemporary across the English Channel, Charles Darwin. Even though Bernard himself was not an evolutionist, his thinking in fact illuminated a core idea of 19th century evolutionism, namely the phenomenon of adaptation. Homeostasis and adaptation are really two sides of the same coin. We tend to forget, as we do with Bernard, just how deeply the roots of evolutionary thought are embedded in 19th century traditions of scientific vitalism, and one of the deeper roots is adaptation. Darwin himself was steeped in this tradition, as was much of English and European natural history, including early evolutionary thinkers like Lamarck, Cuvier, and Charles Darwin's own grandfather, Erasmus. In the early 20th century, evolution, along with the rest of biology, decisively renounced its legacy, giving rise to our modern gene-centric view of evolution. Among the things that fell away, then, was the centrality of adaptation to the evolutionary process. Disliking something does not always make it go away, though, and this is one reason why adaptation remains a vexing problem. If you want to start an argument amongst evolutionists, just bring up adaptation, and I guarantee you'll have one on your hands. The reason, I would argue, stems from the same cognitive dissonance that plagues much of modern biology. It brings up uncomfortable philosophical traditions that we imagine we have outgrown, but cannot do without. Thank you very much.